Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at Booking Holdings, ticker symbol BKNG. You know the drill by now. We've got our stack of analyst reports, company info, and we're going to try to figure out together if this stock deserves a spot in your portfolio.
Absolutely. We'll be hitting the essentials like financial performance, their recent acquisition spree, and of course, we can't forget about those ESG factors.
All right, so Booking Holdings, they've been a big player in the online travel world for a while now, right? Going
Yeah.
all the way back to 1997. And they've been headquartered in Norwalk, Connecticut since the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. And recently, they've been on something of an acquisition spree.
That's what caught my eye, too. So they've snatched up 12 companies, most of them focusing on online travel. Makes sense. But then they also dipped their toes into the food tech space, which is interesting.
Right. So their biggest purchase was eTraveli Group back in November 2021. That's a flight comparison platform. And they shelled out a cool $1.84 billion for it.
Wow, that's a serious investment. Speaking of serious investments, remember when they bought OpenTable back in 2014 for $2.6 billion?
Yeah, that one was a head turner for sure. Showed that you're thinking beyond just booking hotels and flights, right into the whole experience economy.
Okay, so they're making big moves. But what does Wall Street think about all this?
Well, the analysts seem cautiously optimistic. TipRanks gives Booking Holdings a moderate buy rating based on 31 analysts. Their average 12-month price target is 5,131.47.
Interesting. So that's pretty close to where it's trading right now. Maybe suggesting some steady growth potential, but not expecting it to skyrocket.
Yeah, that's one way to interpret it. For those who are into shorter-term plays, TipRanks also highlights analysts with really good track records for like 1 month and 3-month holding periods, so you can see who's been good at predicting those shorter-term swings.
That's handy for sure. Now let's talk about valuation, because that's always a key piece of the puzzle.
For sure, Zacks gives Booking Holdings a value score of D.
D, huh? So that means they could be a bit overvalued compared to others in their industry.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole story. Zacks also points out their strong cash flow, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, cash is king.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even though they might be a bit pricey, they are generating solid cash, which helps mitigate some of that risk.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, Zacks gives them an A for growth. They're highlighting the impressive historical and projected EPS growth.
Okay, so they're growing like crazy and they've got the cash flow to back it up,
Yeah.
but they're not exactly cheap.
That's the trade-off, right? Their part of that growth comes from their global reach, and they're always innovating. So it makes sense that they're outpacing some of their competitors.
Yeah, you can't just stand still in this industry. You got to be moving forward, always coming up with new ideas to stay ahead of the game.
Exactly.
So they're a powerhouse in the travel industry. They're innovating, they're growing.
Hmm.
But there are some potential downsides too, so let's dig into those a bit.
One thing that stands out is the increasing focus on sustainable travel. Ethical considerations. Travelers are getting more and more aware of their impact, and companies like Booking Holdings need to show that they're taking those things seriously.
Absolutely, especially with the younger generations. They're really holding companies accountable for their environmental and social impact.
Right. So how Booking Holdings handles things like carbon emissions, responsible tourism, ethical sourcing, that's going to be crucial for their long-term success.
Makes sense. So let's talk about their dividend policy, because that's something investors always want to know.
Sure. So Booking Holdings doesn't actually pay a dividend. They've chosen to reinvest those profits back into the business to fuel more growth.
Interesting. So they're betting on the future, hoping to create even bigger returns down the line.
Right, which might be appealing to some investors, but not for everyone. If you're looking for that steady stream of income from dividends, this isn't the stock for you.
Okay, so no dividends. But what about share buybacks? Are they doing any of that?
Yeah, they do engage in share buybacks, which basically means they're using their own money to buy back their own shares from the market.
And that can be a good sign, right? Shows they believe in their own company and that the stock is undervalued.
Potentially, yeah. It can also boost earnings per share and potentially drive up the stock price. But it's important to see if they're doing it strategically, making smart buybacks when the price is right.
All right, so that's dividends and buybacks.
Yeah.
Now let's switch gears and talk about their services business, which I hear is a big chunk of their revenue.
It is. They do more than just booking travel. They offer a whole range of services to travel providers, like advertising, marketing, payment processing, that kind of thing.
Wow, so they're really building out an entire ecosystem around travel. It's not just about connecting travelers with places to stay.
Yeah.
They're supporting the whole industry.
Yeah, and that creates a kind of network effect. The more players they have on the platform, the more valuable it becomes for everyone.
Right. So travelers get more choices.
Mm.
And providers get access to a huge customer base and all these helpful tools.
Exactly, and that interconnectedness spills over into the real world too. Booking Holdings has a big economic impact. They create jobs, support local businesses, contribute to economies all over the planet.
Wow, that's impressive. So they're a global force.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but let's try to boil it down. What are the pros and cons of owning this stock?
Okay, so on the plus side, Booking Holdings has a really strong track record of growth and profitability. They're a leader in the market with a global reach that's hard to beat. And those recent acquisitions they've made show they're committed to innovation and expanding strategically. So they're well positioned for continued success.
Okay, so strong performance, big player, global reach. What about the downsides?
Well, some analysts are a bit concerned about their valuation, like we talked about earlier. They might be a bit pricey. And even though they've been growing like gangbusters, the travel industry is always changing. New competition pops up all the time, travel trends shift, so there's always a risk that their performance could be impacted.
Right? No company is immune to those kinds of challenges. And then there's the whole ESG factor, how well they adapt to those growing expectations. That's going to be crucial for attracting investors and customers who care about sustainability.
Absolutely. And while their no dividend policy works for some, it won't work for everyone. So it all comes down to your own investment goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right. So Booking Holdings,
Mm-hmm.
they're complex, they're fascinating, they've got a lot to offer. But before you jump in, it's crucial to really dig into their financials, their market position,
Yeah.
and how they're handling all the changes happening in the travel industry.
You know, it's interesting when you think about their acquisition of Intravalley Group, the flight comparison platform.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about their strategy.
Right? Because they're already so dominant in accommodations. Why go so hard into flights?
Exactly. It's like they're not content with just being the hotel king. They want to be the whole travel package, the one-stop shop.
Yeah, and that seems to be a recurring theme with them, right? Like their purchase of OpenTable, that was a sign they're thinking bigger than just traditional travel bookings.
Right. It's all about experiences now. And they want to be a part of all of it, which, could be brilliant. That kind of ecosystem could be incredibly powerful. The more they offer, the more users they get, the more valuable it becomes.
Yeah, but it's not easy managing all those different businesses,
Right.
right? The travel industry is constantly changing. They're going to be on their toes.
Absolutely. It takes serious operational expertise to keep up,
Yeah.
not to
Even-
mention adaptability.
And that brings us to their innovation pipeline, right?
Right.
They can't just rest on their laurels. They've got to keep coming up with new stuff, new technologies, new services to stay ahead of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, think about all the possibilities with AI, personalizing recommendations, virtual reality tours, blockchain for smoother booking and better security. Who knows what else they're cooking up?
Yeah, the travel landscape is evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
They need to be able to anticipate those trends and adapt.
For sure. Like sustainable travel. That's huge right now.
Yeah.
How well they integrate those options into their platform. That's going to be make or break for them with a lot of travelers.
Yeah, especially those younger generations. They're the future, and they care about these issues.
Absolutely. Now, of course, we also have to talk about risk. The travel industry is vulnerable to all sorts of things. Economic downturns, geopolitical events, health crises. We've seen it all recently.
Yeah, no one could have predicted what happened the past few years. And who knows what the future holds. So how Booking Holdings handles those curveballs? That's a big question mark.
For sure. And then there's the competition. They're on top right now. But there are always new players emerging,
Right.
and the existing ones are always trying to catch up.
It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah.
So they can't afford to get complacent. They got to keep innovating, keep growing.
Absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
constant battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, Booking Holdings as an investment, it's not a simple yes or no answer. There are a lot of factors to consider.
Right. Like we always say, it depends on your individual goals, your risk tolerance, how you see the company's future playing out.
Exactly. We've given you the overview of the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. Now it's up to you to do your own research. Dig deeper into the things that matter most to you as an investor.
And ultimately, decide if Booking Holdings fits into your vision for a winning portfolio. It's all about staying informed, right? Keeping up with those industry trends, monitoring how the company's performing, and being ready to adjust your strategy if you need to.
Exactly. Investing, it's a journey. It's always changing, always something new to learn.
That's what makes it exciting. So we've talked a lot about Booking Holdings today, their current position, their moves into new areas. But what about the really big picture, the future of travel itself?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Think about all the crazy stuff that's on the horizon, virtual reality, AI, space tourism even. How's all that going to change the game?
It's mind-blowing to think
Uh-huh.
about. And for companies like Booking Holdings, it's both a huge opportunity and a potential threat.
Right. Will they be the ones leading the charge, coming up with those mind-blowing new travel experiences, or will they get left behind?
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure. The travel industry is about to go through a massive transformation. And the companies that embrace that change, those are the ones that are going to win.
Absolutely. So as you're thinking about Booking Holdings as an investment, don't just look at where they are now. Think about where they could be in 5, 10, 20 years.
And that's where it gets really interesting. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Booking Holdings. We hope you found it insightful.
And maybe even spark some ideas for your own investment journey.
Remember, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to investing. It's all about doing your research, understanding the risks, and making choices that align with your own goals.
Exactly. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more.
We're always digging into new companies, uncovering those hidden gems, and we love hearing from you guys. So let us know in the comments what stocks you'd like us to tackle next. Until then, happy investing.